Now, I guess we'll never know for sure, but I think this lady knows exactly what she's doing. I think she knows she's lying through her teeth, but regardless, who cares? Just take a listen to this nonsense.
Sensitive to the contours that shape today's new normal. 5 features of the new normal, some of which are interrelated, appear particularly noteworthy for our policy deliberations. First, inflation has been persistently soft, and the Phillips curve has been flatter. For the past several decades, policymakers relied on the Phillips curve as a key guidepost. It implied that as labor market slack diminished and the economy approached full employment, upward pressure on inflation would result. However, the Phillips curve appears to be flatter.
Chlorophyll, more like borophyll, right? You know, I'd love to raise my hand. I don't know who she's talking to. Apparently, what the Council on Global Affairs. Look at that cussing logo right behind her, for crying out loud. So, I really would. I'd love to raise my hand and say, you know, this sounds really good. All this, you're a lot smarter than me, and this fancy jargon and all this fancy words and stuff. Like, you sound real smart. But hey, I'm a dummy. Well, let me ask you something. Isn't it true that even on mainstream media financial channels like CNBC, that they're saying that the stock market and said markets are now, quote, artificial markets? And isn't it now all of a sudden you have all these other mainstream media pundits asking, well, maybe this whole quantitative easing thing maybe it's really not working after all? Isn't it been admitted by the Federal Reserve that they are now monetizing the debt, which they said they would never do because that means that they have lost control? Isn't it also a fact, a proven fact, that whenever countries accumulate as much debt as all of them around the world, including the United States, have, that they collapse? That there is not one documented historical time where any empire, country, whatever country, ever paid back a debt like what's been accumulated by each and every government around the world? Is that not a fact, that there is not one historical example of these kinds of debts being paid off? But you know what there is historical example of? Collapse every single time. I'd love to ask her that. Because then she'd have to, well, either she'd run off the stage or she'd be, well, yeah. And then I could just be like, okay, well then all this stuff you're saying, who cares? So get off the stage. You aren't in show business. Just a thought. Thanks to my subscribers.